What we're looking at here is a home with T111 plywood siding that has been stained. So they actually used a paint stain which soaked into the wood, and you could spray it on, roll it on, put it on with a brush, but most of the time it is sprayed on and it soaks into the wood. Paint covers the wood. This stain will actually soak into the wood. Now the problem is, if this isn't maintained, you need to keep spraying the stain on. And it depends on different types of climates, the problems you're going to end up with. But here is a good example of where someone went down and they color matched, or they just took a guess and picked up some paint and actually started to paint some of the areas that were a little more damaged than the other areas, and this isn't what you need to do. So if you run into a situation like this where they used a paint stain, you don't really want to paint it if you're trying to match it up. You can actually paint over most paint stains, but again, check with a paint supply warehouse before you do, because if they used an oil stain, then you might not be able to paint over it, and you might be stuck with staining it again, and you're not going to have a choice. And again, so your paint supply manufacturers will be able to provide you with any types of primers or stain blockers to allow you to paint over other things like paint stain or oil-based paints. But what causes this? Actually, this house is in the desert and it is warm. When I was out here taking the pictures, it was hot. And this part of the house isn't actually in full sun. You can actually see that the sun is at the base of the house footing there. And I can imagine this wall gets about maybe 5 hours of sun each day, if that, and it is not during the hottest part of the day. So you can imagine what the rest of the house looks like. And again, heat, severe climates will create problems, especially for wood siding. So if this house was stuccoed, it might look a little tattered, but it wouldn't look as bad as wood. Wood siding, especially real wood, plywood, it can take a beating in severe climates.